Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars and welcome to my top 10 favourite games of 2022. Now if you watch my content or watch my channel, you will know that I have played and reviewed a lot of games in 2022. Overall, I think it's been a pretty good year for gaming, especially if you look beyond the AAA market. I think there's been a lot of games released that maybe a lot of people don't show a lot of interest in because they're only interested in AAA titles. But there are quite a few different games on my list. As always, guys, I would love to hear in the comments what your favourite games of the year are. I'm sure many of them will differ from mine. So let's get straight into this list. I want to talk about some honourable mentions first, and the first one I want to talk about is Police Simulator, Patrol Officers. The only reason this hasn't made the top 10 really is because it's a little bit janky and it's a little bit rough around the edges and it's quite a specific game. Essentially, it is exactly what it sounds like. It is a police simulator. You patrol the streets, you pull cars over, you find people, you arrest people, so on and so forth. It's actually quite addictive and a lot of fun to play. Another honourable mention I want to talk about is Gas Station Simulator. Again, exactly what it sounds like. You open your gas station out in the middle of nowhere on Route 66, and then you've got to basically renovate it, do it up, sell products, sell gas, decorate the place. I mean, it's quite a lot of fun to play, and it's quite involved as well, and it's got quite a lot of charm to it. So definitely quite a fun game to check out if you've not played it. And another game that you may not have played is Crusader Kings 3. Now, the only reason, again, this hasn't made my top 10 list is it's not a particularly accessible game. It's a grand strategy game that is quite difficult to get into. But once you do get into it, it's really in-depth, it's quite engaging, and you will spend an awful lot of time on the game. But it's just not for everybody. That's why it's not on the top 10. And the last honourable mention I want to talk about is RimWorld Console Edition. And this is very similar to Crusader Kings 3 in a sense of why it's not made my top 10. This is a game, in actual fact, if you do get into and you do enjoy, you will probably lose hundreds of hours into it. It doesn't look great when you look at it, but essentially it's like a survival colony simulator. It's incredible, very detailed, but just not for everybody. Right, coming in at number 10 on my list, and this is going to rile some people straight away, is Elden Ring. Now, I'm not saying this is not a great game, and for many people, this will be their game of the year, and I absolutely understand why. It's just not for me. It's not my complete sort of game. I think it looks great. I think there are aspects of the game that are a masterpiece, but for an RPG, I just think it's fairly weak. The narrative isn't brilliant, and I'm just not a fan of the combat. I find it too frustrating. But for many of you out there, this will be an absolute stunning game. Coming in at number 9 on my list, excuse me, is Elix 2. This will upset a lot of people, the fact that it's actually higher than Elden Ring. This is janky as hell, but it's an old-fashioned type RPG. Just my sort of RPG. You know what I mean? You play this character, charging about, you're killing characters, you're getting into like side quests and story quests, all that kind of stuff. It's really old-fashioned in its approach, but I really enjoyed it, and I sank about 70 hours into this game. I really quite enjoyed it. Coming in at number 8 on the list is 2 Point Campus. I love these games. I loved 2 Point Hospital when that came out a couple of years ago. And again, this is another game I sunk countless hours into when it was released. Essentially, you kind of build your own campus, but it's got its very own unique sense of humour, this game. It's really comedic. It's got lovely cartoony graphics. It will make you chuckle while you play it, but it's also highly addictive as well in regards to like being like a campus sim, if you like. But it does it with such charm. It's great fun. Coming in at number 7 on the list is a game called Arcade Paradise. One of the most surprisingly enjoyable games I've played, and one of the most original games I've played. You essentially open a laundrette, which basically you want to turn it into an arcade in the back. So at the front of house, it's all a laundrette. So you're doing the normal laundrette stuff, and then in the back of the building, you turn it into an arcade to make extra profit, and you can play all those arcade machines in the game as well. It's genius, really. Coming in at number 6 on the list is Sifu, an absolute balls to the wall fighting action adventure game. It's wonderful. It's like a martial arts movie, revenge movie. You basically go from level to level, kicking ass, taking names, using cool moves. And the twist of this game is if you die, you kind of come back, but you're a little bit older than you were before. So it's really good. And now they've even added an easy level because some people found it a little bit too hard initially. So it's easier to play now. Coming up at number 5 on the list is Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga. There's not a lot to say about this game, guys. If you like Lego games and you like Star Wars, this is absolutely a dream come true. It's got literally all the Star Wars films covered here. It's humorous, the cinematics are fun, but the gameplay is really, really cool as well. Again, if you know Lego games, you know what you're getting here, but it's got really cool graphics, great voice acting, and it's just a top Star Wars game, regardless of whether it's Lego or not. Coming in at number 4 on this list is Medieval Dynasty. This is quite a niche game, I suppose, for many people, but essentially you are building your own medieval village. It's almost like a survival game as well. You've got to eat, you've got to drink, you've got to build a community, do quests, all this kind of stuff. So it's blending a lot of genres like RPGs and management sims and a survival game, but it does them all really quite successfully. Definitely not for everybody, this one. But it's a game that you can sink a lot of time into if it's a game that you really start enjoying. I think it's a really cool game. Coming in at number 3 on this list is Mountain Blade Bannerlord. What a game this is. Again, another game that you're going to sink hundreds of hours into if it's a game that you enjoy playing. Essentially, you're traveling around a map, you're trying to build your own private army, you're taking over this, that, and the other. You're having battles, you're building, you're doing like quest lines. This game is essentially a medieval sim. You could kind of do anything you want with it. It's a little bit rough around the edges, a little bit janky. The graphics aren't the best, but the gameplay is absolutely brilliant. Wonderful game. Coming in at number 2 on the list is the most surprising game to me this year. When I first saw this game, I thought, this looks terrible. And then I started seeing a lot of good things about it, so I bought it, played it, and it absolutely consumed my life for about a month, this game. Sunk so many hours into it. It's essentially a turn-based strategy game, very much like XCOM. And if you love XCOM, you're going to love this because it's got permadeath. Your characters can all die. The turn-based battles are really tactical. It's absolutely brilliant, and you can lose yourself in this game. But for me, my favourite game of the year is the most recent game that I have watched, and the game I'm still playing is Marvel Midnight Suns. This has been getting largely positive reviews, but some people don't really like this game. Everybody universally enjoys the combat in this game, but not everybody likes the Abbey aspect of this game, and that's like your home base, where you kind of chat to your superhero mates, build relationships, all that kind of stuff. Some people find that a bit cringy. I actually really liked both aspects of this game, the combat and the relationship building and the Abbey stuff. I thought it was all good, which is why I've put it at number 1, because it's the game I've enjoyed the most. It's the game I know I will probably buy the DLC and the season pass for because I'm enjoying the content so much. And it's a game I'll return to probably even when I've completed it, as I return to the XCOM games and things like that, because I just enjoy them games and I enjoy the gameplay. For me, if you're a fan of Marvel, you're going to love it. If you're a fan of XCOM, you're going to love it. So if you're a fan of those two things, I think this is going to really, really hit the mark with you, and it really did with me, which is why I've made Marvel Midnight Suns my favourite game of the year. So let me know in the comments, guys, what your favourite games of the year are, and of course, I will be back with loads more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.